In the summer of 1943, at Camp Crossville in Tennessee, a German soldier stared in wonder at a brown liquid fizzing in a bottle. He had never encountered anything like it before. After 2 years of fighting in North Africa, living on hard biscuits and substitute coffee, this sweet carbonated drink called Coca-Cola felt like an unbelievable luxury. It cost 5 cents at the camp canteen, the same amount that American children would spend from their allowances. That summer, 371,683 German prisoners of war faced a reality that shattered everything they had been taught by Nazi propaganda about American style: weakness. They found a country where ice cream was an everyday dessert, soft drinks were part of regular meals, and candy bars were so prevalent that even guards handed them out. These simple treats, unfamiliar to most German children, began to dismantle Nazi ideology more effectively than any propaganda campaign. The abundance of sugar, carbonation, chocolate, and ice cream highlighted an American industrial strength that turned the German experience of deprivation from a noble sacrifice into needless suffering. What started as amazement at American snacks would lead to a profound psychological shift. The end of the Desert Campaign and the surrender of the Afrika Korps in Tunisia in May 1943 brought about 250,000 German and Italian soldiers into Portic, the hands of Allied forces. These seasoned desert fighters, who had previously pushed the British back to Egypt under General Rommel's leadership, were prepared for harsh treatment as prisoners. Nazi propaganda had led them to expect brutality and starvation from the Americans. Surprisingly, just hours after their surrender, they were introduced to American rations. These field rations, which American soldiers often complained about, came with unexpected treasures: crackers, processed cheese, candy, fruit bars, instant coffee, sugar tablets, and cigarettes. For German soldiers who had endured months of minimal food, these emergency meals felt like lavish feasts. Military records show that at processing camps in North Africa, the United States Army served pancakes with syrup, fresh eggs, and milk foods that had not been part of German military rations for years. The systematic distribution of superior food to former enemies began immediately, though the full psychological impact would take time to realize. A German officer later testified to the International Red Cross, stating, "We expected to be starved as prisoners. Instead, the Americans fed us. This confusion regarding American resources marked the beginning of our education." The Liberty ships transporting prisoners of war across the Atlantic in the summer of 1943 provided a vivid lesson in American abundance. These ships mass-produced at an extraordinary rate, with one being completed every 42 hours, carried up to 30,000 prisoners each month to the United States. Naval records revealed that the food rations on these ships were equal to or better than the standard crew provisions, offering about 3,500 calories daily. This included fresh bread, meat, vegetables, and coffee with sugar and milk. The refrigeration systems on board kept the food fresh during the 2-week journey. Most impressively, there are documented accounts that ice cream was served on several occasions during the crossings. A log from the USS General M.B. Stewart, dated July 1943, noted that ice cream was served to prisoners on July 4th, using the ship's ice cream maker that produced 10 gallons at a time. For those who had not tasted ice cream since before the war, this sweet treat in the middle of tea ocean was truly astonishing. When the ships arrived at ports like Norfolk and Newport News, German prisoners of war discovered an America that Nazi propaganda had said was impossible. The Norfolk Naval Base, sprawling over 4,300 acres and equipped with extensive waterfront facilities, handled more cargo every day than major German ports did in a week. At the port exchanges, shops for dock workers, the prisoners saw shelves filled with candy bars from well-known brands like Hershey, Mars, and Nestle. Military procurement records from 1943 confirmed that these exchanges offered a variety of candies, selling them at regular prices, 5 cents for most candy bars. The same price charged across the United States. The journey inland by train provided yet more insights. Unlike the cattle cars used for transport in Europe, German prisoners of war traveled in passenger coaches, and the dining cars offered full meals. Menus from July 1943 documented dishes like fried chicken, vegetables, pie, and coffee. The prisoners realized this was not preferential treatment, but standard American rail service. The prison camp system across the United States provided conditions that surpassed the requirements of the Geneva Convention. Camp Crossville in Tennessee exemplified typical larger facilities, offering electric lights, hot water, flush toilets, and heated barracks. However, it was the camp exchanges, known as PX stores, that had the most profound effect. According to Army Quartermaster records, camp exchanges offered a variety of soft drink brands. This included Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, RC Cola, and various candy bars. They also provided ice cream where refrigeration allowed, along with cigarettes, tobacco, fresh fruit, and snacks. Beer with 3.2% alcohol content was available too. Prisoners could earn 80 cents a day for their labor, which was later increased to $1. With candy bars priced at 5 cents and Coca-Cola at the same price, a day's wages could buy 16 items, far beyond what Germans could imagine. In Germany, such products required special connections to obtain. Coca-Cola became a symbol of American industrial democracy. During the war, production levels reached impressive heights. Records show that in 1943 alone, the Coca-Cola Company produced 5 billion bottles. A military contract ensured that American servicemen worldwide could buy Coca-Cola for just 5 cents, a commitment that required remarkable logistics. German prisoners found that this soft drink, mostly unknown to them before capture, was everywhere in America. Each camp received regular deliveries. Work details saw vending machines and coolers all over, including in gas stations, factories, and schools. Americans from all walks of life enjoyed Coca-Cola casually, often discarding half-empty bottles without a second thought. This level of standardization amazed the technically inclined prisoners. They noted that Coca-Cola tasted the same, whether it was in Maine or Texas. This level of quality control surpassed anything achieved by German industry. The syrup concentrate was made in Atlanta and then distributed to bottling plants across the nation, showcasing an industrial efficiency that challenged Nazi beliefs about American disarray. Historical records from the Coca-Cola Company archives revealed that many prison camps received weekly shipments of 200 to 300 cases, each with 24 bottles. Camp Hearn in Texas, for example, consumed around 7,000 bottles each week during the summer of 1943. Ice cream in American prison camps seemed like a fantasy to Germans who had not seen it since before the war. However, my records confirmed that ice cream was regularly served in camps with sufficient refrigeration during the summer months. The military deemed ice cream essential for morale, so vital that specialized ice cream ships were built for the Pacific Fleet. At Camp Shelby in Mississippi, the celebration on July 4, 1943, featured ice cream made on site. Prisoners watched as hand-cranked freezers produced gallons of ice cream using ice, salt, cream, sugar, and flavorings. The casual use of limited resources shocked the Germans. Ice in July, cream and sugar for snacks showed priorities they couldn't understand. By 1944, many camps had electric ice cream makers. The flavors available, such as chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, and butter pecan, were more than what German ice cream parlors offered before the war. Prisoners could buy ice cream bars and sandwiches for just 10 cents, or choose from cups of different flavors. Records indicate that larger camps ordered between 50 and 100 gallons of ice cream each week during the summer. While the frequency varied by location and season, prisoners frequently enjoyed this frozen treat that had disappeared from their lives in Germany. The amount of sugar consumed in American prison camps had a significant impact. In Germany, sugar was tightly rationed. Civilians received 280 grams every month if it was available. However, in American camps, sugar was freely available in bowls on hall tables for anyone to use as they wished. Records from 1943 to 1945 show that camps received weekly shipments of 100-pound bags of refined sugar. Camp bakeries made good use of sugar. Cakes, cookies, and pies were common in their menus. Mess halls sweetened coffee, tea, cereals, and desserts without any limits. A notable example from Camp Aliceville, Alabama, highlights this difference. In August 1943, high humidity caused several hundred pounds of sugar to harden, making it hard to use. Instead of steaming it to restore it, as Germans would have done, the kitchen staff threw it away and ordered more. German prisoners working in the kitchen were reportedly upset by this waste. American candy consumption reflected a wealth of choices. Major manufacturers like Hershey, Mars, and Nestle produced millions of chocolate bars each month, even with wartime restrictions. The military alone bought £380 million of chocolate products during the war. Prison camp exchanges stocked a wide range of chocolate types. Standard Hershey bars, emergency chocolate bars, and various candy bars were available for 5 to 10 cents. Prisoners noticed that Americans had favorite chocolate brands and often chose one over another. Monthly packages from the American Red Cross included chocolate bars along with other items. Records show that standard packages contained chocolate or candy bars, 2 instant coffees, processed cheese, crackers, canned meat, cigarettes, and soap. These packages added to the regular rations, offering luxury items that were far beyond what German civilians received as basic rations. Thanksgiving in 1943 was a revelation for German prisoners as they experienced American holiday abundance. This distinctly American event showcased a level of national coordination in consumption that far surpassed German efforts. Army records show that every prison camp provided a traditional Thanksgiving meal, which included roast turkey with stuffing, mashed potatoes with gravy, sweet potatoes, cranberry sauce, vegetables, pumpkin pie, coffee, and milk. The logistics of serving turkey dinners to 425,000 prisoners highlighted an impressive organizational capacity. The fact that German prisoners were served the same meal as American soldiers highlighted a principle of equal treatment that contradicted the Nazi racial hierarchy. Christmas in 1943 brought surprising generosity from American civilians. Church groups, civic organizations, and individual citizens sent packages to German prisoners of war. The American Friends Service Committee distributed 50,000 Christmas packages to these enemy prisoners. These packages often included homemade cookies, candies, toiletries, games, books, cigarettes, and writing supplies. Local communities near the camps frequently extended their support. For example, in Tonkawa, Oklahoma, treats to German prisoners at Camp Tonkawa. In Hearne, Texas, church groups delivered Christmas cookies and candies to Camp Hearne. This civilian kindness towards enemies fundamentally challenged Nazi ideology. Even with family members fighting against Germany, Americans showed compassion to German prisoners. This act highlighted strength through mercy rather than revenge. As labor shortages grew, German prisoners increasingly worked outside the camps, witnessing American food production up close. By 1944, around 100,000 prisoners were employed in agriculture and food processing, gaining a deep understanding of American abundance. In Michigan orchards, they picked cherries destined for maraschino production, the vibrant garnishes for ice cream sundaes. The quantity astonished them. Single orchards produced tons of fruit for decorative purposes alone. In canneries, prisoners noticed the quality control process that discarded perfectly good food due to minor imperfections. Records from Del Monte in 1944 indicate that about 15% of fruit was turned away for canning due to size inconsistencies or small blemish, typically rerouted to animal feed. The processing of sugar beets in Colorado and Nebraska showed that agricultural mechanization in America surpassed that of Germany. Individual farms were able to produce more sugar beets than entire regions in Germany. The prisoners learned that sugar production in the United States, from both cane and beets, reached around 7 million tons each year. This explained the abundance of food they observed. German prisoners who worked near schools noticed early versions of organized lunch programs. Children enjoyed hot meals that included milk, protein, and vegetables. The National School Lunch Act would make this official in 1946, though similar programs already existed during the war. The milk program particularly caught the attention of the German observers. Many schools provided fresh milk to children every day. The ability to deliver milk daily to thousands of schools showed an organizational skill that Germany could not replicate for its military supplies. Some school cafeterias even sold ice cream for an extra cost. This concept of children buying frozen treats at school stood in stark contrast to the food shortages faced by kids in Germany, leaving a significant impression on the prisoners. When minimum security prisoners dined at American restaurants under supervision, they experienced a form of democratic abundance. These small eateries offered menus that rivaled those found in high-end German establishments, and anyone with a little money could enjoy them. Prices from 1944 reveal that a hamburger cost 25 cents, Coca-Cola was 5 cents, a slice of pie was 15 cents, An ice cream sundae was 25 cents, and a full dinner special ranged from 65 to 75 cents. The equality in service, where anyone could order anything, contrasted sharply with the class division. A factory worker and a bank president could sit side by side at the same counter, enjoy the same meal, and pay the same meal, and pay the same price, all served by the same waitress. As the prisoners gained access to American publications, they found production statistics that were astonishing compared to what Germany could achieve. American figures from 1944 showed sugar production at about 7 million tons, chocolate and cocoa products at 380 million pounds, Coca-Cola at 5 billion bottles for 1943, ice cream exceeding 500 million gallons, and milk totaling 119 billion pounds. In contrast, German production during the same time was heavily rationed, primarily from beets, with chocolate given military priority only. The production of soft drinks was minimal, ice cream was almost non-existent, and milk was severely limited. The transparency of American media in publishing these numbers demonstrated that America's wartime production far surpassed what Germany could achieve in peacetime. By late 1944, German prisoners of war were even sending food packages back to Germany. Prisoners in American camps used their wages to buy American products to send back home. They mailed items like chocolate bars, instant coffee, and canned goods. Records from the International Red Cross confirm that German prisoners sent about 11 million parcels to Germany during their time in captivity. Most of these parcels were filled with food. This exchange had a significant impact on German families who received American abundance from their imprisoned relatives while struggling with starvation themselves. It greatly weakened Nazi ideology. American rationing during the war highlighted the vast differences between the two societies. Americans complained about having a sugar ration of £2 per pay, Rawson each month. This amount was more than triple what Germans received when sugar was available. The weekly meat ration for Americans was 28 ounces per person, more than what Germans were allotted for an entire month. Even with rationing in place, Americans continued to enjoy consumption levels that Germans viewed as impossible luxuries. Records from the Office of Price Administration showed that Americans consumed 74 pounds of sugar per person in 1944, despite rationing. This was 10 times the amount consumed by Germans. Besides Coca-Cola, prisoners discovered a wide array of American soft drinks. Brands like Pepsi Cola, Dr. Pepper, RC Cola, Orange Crush, and various regional brands competed across the nation. This variety, with multiple companies producing similar drinks, illustrated the abundance of a market that was unattainable in a German-controlled economy. Bottling plants were found in every major city. The processes of carbonation, bottling, capping, and labeling were efficient and standardized. Each plant could produce millions of bottles each year. The distribution network reached even the smallest towns, gas stations, and grocery stores. By the end of the war, American soft drink production had ballooned to billions of bottles annually, averaging dozens of bottles per American citizen each year. The output from this one industry surpassed entire sectors of German consumer production. In the spring of 1945, as American forces advanced through Germany, German prisoners in America watched newsreels of American soldiers giving candy and gum to German children. The joy on those children's faces as they received American treats their own government could not provide was a powerful blow to the Nazi ideology. The difference was clear. American soldiers moving through enemy territory carried enough candy to distribute freely, while the German state, which promised victory, delivered starvation. Films showing the liberation of concentration camps depicted American troops sharing rations with emaciated survivors, showcasing a compassion that the German soldiers had served under an oppressive regime. Between 1945 and 1946, German prisoners of war returned to a nation that had been devastated. Many of them had gained weight while in American captivity, while their families were suffering from starvation in Germany. They returned with a sense of abundance to a land facing severe scarcity. Medical examination showed that German prisoners of war generally returned in better health than when they were captured. They faced families weakened by a lack of food. This stark contrast between American plenty and German deprivation was impossible to ignore. Many prisoners brought home the final packages from the Red Cross. These contained chocolate, coffee, and canned goods, which became cherished items for the families. Children who had forgotten what chocolate tasted like received Hershey bars from fathers who had enjoyed ice cream regularly in the prison camps. Former prisoners of war unexpectedly became advocates for the Marshall Plan. They had seen that American abundance was not limited. It was prosperity through production, not through conquest. Their experiences influenced how Germans accepted American aid. These men realized that American strength came from its ability to produce rather than from taking resources. They had observed a society so wealthy that it could afford to waste food even while engaged in a global conflict. This understanding of creation over conquest shaped the economic strategies of West Germany. The German economic miracle of the 1950s was, in part, based on knowledge gained in American prison camps. Former personas who witnessed American production techniques, distribution methods, and consumer variety applied these insights to rebuilding Germany. They learned that mass production could make luxuries accessible to many. Standardization brought about quality and efficiency. Consumer abundance contributed to political stability. They realized that industrial democracy could outstrip authoritarian control. The lessons learned from Coca-Cola and ice cream influenced a generation of German business and political leaders. The transformation of German prisoners of war through American food abundance is documented in various records, including military quartermaster reports, International Red Cross documents, corporate production archives, especially those of Coca-Cola, and post-war interviews. Arnold Kramer, a leading historian on German prisoners of war in America, concluded that food abundance played a crucial role in their ideological transformation. His research confirmed that casual experiences shaped their perspectives. American abundance accomplished what formal re-education programs could not. It shattered the myths of Nazi superiority. The statistics tell a clear story. Between 1943 and 1946, the average prisoner received daily calories ranging from 3,300 to 3,600. They had access to 4 grams of sugar monthly. Their meat intake was 32 ounces each week, and they were provided 1 quart of milk daily. Ice cream was served regularly in the summer, and soft drinks were available for just 5 cents each. In contrast, German civilians during the same period had daily caloric rations between 1,200 and 1,500. They received only 280 grams of sugar monthly, and meat was scarce at only 10.5 ounces weekly. Milk was severely rationed. Ice cream was non-existent, and no soft drinks were available. These differences were not mere propaganda, but a documented reality. Enemy prisoners enjoyed better food than German civilians, proving that American abundance even extended to their defeated opponents. The experience of prisoners of war with American food culture significantly influenced post-war Germany. Coca-Cola returned to West Germany in 1949, becoming a symbol of the American alliance. Ice cream shops that modeled American soda fountains emerged in German cities. Candy bars and chewing gum became signs of recovery. Many former prisoners of American food products, recognizing their appeal from first-hand experience. They understood that these items represented more than just flavor. They symbolized abundance, democracy, and modernity. The introduction of supermarkets in Germany during the 1950s was led by former prisoners who had seen American grocery stores. They realized that achieving democratic abundance required innovative distribution methods, not merely increasing production. In various post-war interviews and memoirs, German former prisoners consistently highlighted the transformative power of food abundance. A former officer from the Afrika Korps shared in a 1975 interview, "We expected to defeat a weak, divided America. Instead, we found a nation that could give ice cream to its enemies. That's when we realized we lost more than just a war. We lost our entire worldview." Another veteran recalled in a 1985 documentary, "My first Coca-Cola was like drinking the future. It was sweet, fizzy, completely unnecessary, and available to anyone for a nickel. That drink embodied everything Nazi Germany was not: abundant, democratic, and joyful." These testimonies collected over the years confirm that American Joel's free 5 to Mai. Now that American break, food abundance achieved what military defeat alone could not: a complete ideological transformation. The men who arrived as Nazi warriors departed as witnesses to democratic prosperity. Historians view the experience of German prisoners of war in America as an extraordinary case of re-education through abundance instead of propaganda. This program thrived because it focused on observation rather than formal lessons. The prisoners saw American society operating at peak productivity while treating their enemies with respect. The food aspect was essential since everyone relates to hunger and satisfaction. It was clear to see the weight gain and improvements in health. They enjoyed 3 meals a day and could buy snacks from the canteen. Compared to their own experiences, German prisoners were well aware of deprivation. Every meal served was a lesson in American industrial strength. Each Coca-Cola they had showcased standardization and efficient distribution. Each ice cream sundae illustrated how abundance could also be democratic. The children of these prisoners grew up hearing tales of American abundance in the camps. At first, these stories sounded unbelievable. But as West Germany recovered and American products became accessible, the stories were proven true. The myth of American plenty, born in those prisons, influenced generations of German-American relations. Many children of prisoners later chose to study or work in America. Motivated by their fathers' accounts of unimaginable abundance, they found that reality matched the stories. Supermarkets offered a wide variety. Soda fountains served sundaes, and candy aisles presented dozens of options. This impact reached beyond individual stories. West German business culture learned lessons about consumer abundance, the importance of quality, and the nature of democratic markets. The economic miracle was not only about production. It was about creating abundance for everyday citizens. Today, McDonald's runs over 1,400 restaurants in Germany. Coca-Cola is everywhere, and ice cream is part of daily life. The shift from scarcity to abundance, which started in American prison camps, is complete. However, the historical lesson is still significant. It shows the power of ideological change through abundance, rather than deprivation. Kindness triumphed over cruelty, and demonstration won out over propaganda. The German prisoners of war who were astonished by ice cream and Coca-Cola in American camps witnessed the ultimate force of democracy. They saw the ability to create such abundance that it could be easily shared with former enemies. The narrative of German prisoners and American food abundance is history's most unique victory. A war won through generosity, an ideology defeated by ice cream, and a perspective shattered by soft drinks. These men underwent a transformation not by facing punishment, but by experiencing abundance. They arrived with beliefs in German superiority and American weakness. However, they departed with a realization that American strength stemmed from a productive capacity so vast it could afford to waste resources. A society that could provide Coca-Cola to prisoners for just 5 cents wielded a power that extended beyond military force. The ice cream sundae, with its lavish layers of ice cream, syrup, whipped cream nuts, and a cherry on top, became a symbol of American abundance. Each individual element surpassed the dreams held by the Germans. When brought together, they represented an unimaginable luxury that had become commonplace. The fact that enemies could ask for seconds while German children suffered from hunger underscored the complete failure of the Nazi regime. Former prisoners of war often remembered pivotal moments of discovery. The first spark of a Coca-Cola bottle, the first spoonful of ice cream, and the first bite of a Hershey bar created vivid sensory memories with more impact than any argument could provide. They had tasted democracy, and it was undeniably sweet. This transformation was total and irreversible. Men who once marched for the Third Reich returned as advocates of abundance, spreading the revolutionary idea that true prosperity comes from freedom, not from conquest. They learned that America's hidden strength wasn't military power, but rather the ability to offer ice cream to adversaries. Ultimately, the Coca-Cola bottles and ice cream dishes served in American prison camps achieved what armies could only aspire to: a complete change in the hearts and minds of their enemies. The German prisoners who were astonished by such abundance became its most fervent witnesses. They returned home with the message that democracy had the taste of chocolate and freedom bubbled with carbonation. Their tale serves as a powerful reminder. Sometimes the greatest victories emerge not from destruction, but rather from demonstration. They come not from taking, but from giving. They arise not from hatred, but from the simple act of serving ice cream to enemies on a warm summer day. The men who embraced American abundance in prison camps became the most unlikely ambassadors of freedom, forever changed by the extraordinary reality of Coca-Cola and ice cream.